Cruising is big business, and like any business, the cruise lines want you to spend money on your cruise. Now, I'm not talking about cruise fares and specialty dining or the casino. I'm talking about retail sales, apparel, alcohol, jewelry, purses, electronics, you name it, and they're probably selling it on cruise ships these days. And there are two words that really get the customer's attention to get them to come on in and spend their hard-earned money on these retail items. There's an old saying in the cruise community that goes, "I like my purchases like I like my diapers, duty-free." All right, I'm really sorry about that joke, but I just couldn't resist a little duty-free humor to start the video. Hey everyone, I'm Jamie from Sharon Travel. Thanks for joining me today for the video. And if you've ever traveled outside of your home country, you've probably seen the duty-free shops in airports. If you live in the US and you're flying internationally, before returning home, you can make a duty-free purchase with the hopes of saving some money. Cruise ships offer the same type of duty-free shopping. Now, what's duty-free, you ask? Well, a duty-free purchase is when you buy an item without paying any import, sales, or added value taxes. You're basically buying an item tax-free. So in many cases, a duty-free purchase can offer a nice little savings on that particular item. Now, when you cruise from the US, virtually every cruise is considered international travel since you're making at least one stop in a foreign port. So cruise ships are able to offer the same type of duty-free shopping as you would find in an airport if you're traveling internationally. Also, when you visit a foreign country on a cruise, you'll find duty-free shops in the port areas as well, because these areas are kind of considered like an international zone, and they're allowed to have those duty-free shops in there. Now, I mentioned that the cruise lines want you to shop, and that's true, but these shops are not actually owned by the cruise lines. They're owned by retail partners of the cruise lines that have secured relationships with the companies that own the products that they're selling. There was a time when most shopping on a cruise ship was for souvenirs and logo items and stuff like that. Well, those days are long gone, and now you'll find high-end name brand items promoting what they claim are fantastic prices that you just won't find back home. Now, the cruise lines don't own the shops, but they are most certainly getting paid. They've got their hands in the cookie jar. They get a slice of the pie. They get a piece of the action. They get a bite of the biscuit. They get kickbacks. So whether it's a shop on the ship or a certain shop in the cruise port that the cruise line works with, they will promote those shops as if they are their own, encouraging people to bust out their SeaPass cards or their wallets and start spending. I mean, you know that when you go on a cruise ship, you'll go to like a talk that talks about, shopping in the port and things like that. Well, all of those places they're recommending, those are places that they work with on a regular basis. Now, is every duty-free item a great deal? I'm going to have to say no. If you're going to make a purchase on a cruise, it's highly recommended that you're aware of what the prices are for that item on dry land back home. Just like at home, you'll be drawn in by sales, discounts, and percentages off items, but that doesn't mean it's the lowest price, even if it's a duty-free item. Now, another thing that comes into play when you're making duty-free purchases on a cruise is being aware of the allowance or the allowed amount of certain items you're bringing back into your home country. Each country has laws with regards to how much duty-free product can be brought into it before a tax is assessed on that item. That's called a customs duty. By definition, it's a tariff or a tax imposed on goods when transported across international borders. In other words, there are limits to what you can buy and bring home without being legally responsible for declaring those items to Customs and Border Control as you disembark your cruise. Now, how worried should you be if you exceed an allowance on an item you purchased while you're cruising? That's a tough thing for me to answer. I mean, I can tell you this. As of a few years ago, when you disembarked your ship, you were given a customs declaration to be completed by the head of the household that was traveling together. On those forms, you had to acknowledge if you were bringing any purchased items back home and confirm whether they were in line with the customs allowance. Those forms have since gone to the wayside. I haven't seen one in years. I think maybe they stopped officially giving them out post-COVID, but that hasn't changed the custom laws. Whether or not you want to disclose that you owe a custom tax for an item is strictly your own business. But I would recommend at least being aware of the allowances before a customs agent might begin to, ask you a question while you're disembarking. As a U.S. citizen returning from a cruise, these are the current allowances for basic purchases you'll find yourself making on your trip. This information can be found online and on each cruise line's websites as well. Now, you can bring back $800 of duty-free purchases per person as far as like retail items go. So per person in your group, $800 a person. You can bring 1 liter of alcohol back per person. Of course, the guest has to be 21 or older. You can bring 1 carton of cigarettes back. You can bring 100 cigars back, including Cuban cigars right now. Now, if you happen to visit one of the U.S. Virgin Islands on your cruise, there's a little bit of an increase there. That's a little bit of a unique situation. In that case, you're going to be allowed $1,600 of duty-free purchases per person, but no more than $800 can be purchased outside the U.S. Virgin Islands or on board the ship. You're also allowed 1 liter of alcohol per person and an additional 4 liters if purchased in the U.S. Virgin Islands. One of the additional liters, though, must be a product of the U.S. Virgin Islands. You're going to be allowed 1 carton of cigarettes and an additional 4 cartons if purchased in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And 100 cigars, again, that's going to be the standard for any U.S. citizen coming back into the States. Now, for our Canadian friends, you know, the Canucks out there that we love, $800 Canadian worth of tax and duty-free purchases per person may be spent and brought back into Canada. 1.5 liters of wine or 1.14 liters of alcohol per person. I'm not sure how they come up with that 1.14 number, but it might be like a volume type of thing that they're dealing with up there with whatever the the counting systems are. You're allowed 1 carton of cigarettes. You must be 21 years of age to do it. And 50 cigars. Again, you must be 21 years old. Now, this information right here I got straight off of a cruise line's website, so I think that's probably going to be pretty accurate. Now, at the end of the day, only you can decide if you've exceeded these amounts and you want to share this information at customs. Heck, in many ports now, they have facial recognition, so you may not even engage with a customs officer directly, but no matter what the situation is, it's better to have the knowledge of what's allowed than to not have it. Now, as far as saving money with duty-free purchases, again, that goes back to knowing the value of things on dry land. If you're looking to purchase jewelry, you might want to make sure that, make sure you have the Wi-Fi on the ship so you can get online and take a look and do a little online comparison of prices for certain things. Same thing goes with electronics, watches, or anything else for that matter. It's pretty well known you can always save some money if you buy cigarettes, and of course, the most popular thing that's bought duty-free to bring home is alcohol. Now, believe it or not, I've taken a look at alcohol prices on the cruise ship. I know that's shocking. Me and alcohol together, unbelievable. And besides some of the buy one, get one deals and some specials I've seen, most of what I would usually buy on land isn't really a big enough price difference to make me buy it on the ship and lug it home with me. Remember, you can't carry it on the plane, so you would have to pack it. True story, in our early years of cruising, we actually bought a few bottles of rum and we wanted to take it home, so we wrapped it up in towels and put it into our luggage. We thought we had it secured, no issues. Well, of course, one of those bottles broke, so everything in that bag was covered in rum. It stunk, it was embarrassing, it was a hot mess. So that's the final thing to consider if you're buying alcohol. Is it worth it to carry that bottle or that product all the way home, for the couple of dollars that you might save? Lastly, just remember one thing. I know cruise ship shopping is a big, big business, and it's fun to spend money on a cruise and come home with some great memories, as well as a lot of new stuff. But remember, if you purchase something on board the ship or in a cruise port and you have an issue with that item, what will be your recourse to get that issue resolved? Is the warranty valid in the U.S.? This is a great question because many electronics made and sold overseas have warranties that are void in the U.S. There are items on Amazon you can look at, like cameras or different things like that, where it's made and produced in another country. And if you buy it in the US, you can save a little money through Amazon, but the warranty won't be good. So that's definitely something to look at. Can it be returned or exchanged once you get back home? Do you have a place you can go to for that? Can you mail it back to a certain company? Or do you just have to book another cruise and go back to the shop and return it? I don't think you'd want to do that. What if that stone that you bought is poorly set in your new ring or necklace and you lose it on the airplane on the way home? Then what? Make sure to ask these questions prior to your purchase so there's no confusion in the event you have a problem once you get off the ship. Now listen, I'm not trying to deter you from shopping, spending money, and having a good time on the cruise. I just want to make sure that you get what you pay for, or in this case, you get what you paid less for. Well, there you go. Hopefully you leave here feeling a little bit more knowledgeable when it comes to duty-free shopping on your next cruise. Let me know in the comments below the video if you've ever made a duty-free purchase. Did you exceed your allowance? Did you report it? Don't worry, I promise I won't tell the Customs and Border Patrol people. Let us know, how was your experience once you got that item back home? And guys, as far as the duty-free joke in the beginning of the video went, I hope you liked it, but do me a favor, don't tell Sharon about it, okay? She'll think it's ridiculous. Before you go, do me a favor, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content, and please make sure to share the video with friends and family that are going to be cruising so they know what to expect when they're making a duty-free purchase. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.